Welcome to Come Through with Silvadia. This is a podcast about real life lessons and experiences. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Come Through with Silvadia to stay up to date on what's new. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Now let's get right into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Come Through with Silvadia. This is our first 2023 episode, and tonight I have some beautiful women that will be joining me tonight. First, I have Sister Tiny Lee.
Hello.
Hi, Tiny. Welcome to Come Through with Silvadia. I'm so happy to have you on tonight.
Glad to be here.
Yes, ma'am. And also, I have Miss Bessie Young.
Hi.
Hi, Miss Bessie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm so glad that you're joining us tonight. I met Miss Bessie through social media, and she reached out to me, and I asked her to be on the show, and she's here. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
You're
and
welcome.
Last but not least, Andrea.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea. Andrea is a friend of mine as well. Andrea's husband is my barber, so I am so excited to actually have her on the show. Can't wait to get my hair cut again, but we can actually talk about all of this at that appointment. So welcome, ladies. As you ladies know, we're going to be talking about why do people attract people who do not want to stay with them long term. So I'm going to start off with Tiny Lee. Miss Tiny, why do you think we as people, especially women, attract people into our lives and they don't stay long term?
I don't think it's so much that we attract people. I think it's just once we get to know certain people, we allow them to be in our lives longer than what they actually should be. For example, some relationships are like food. They have an expiration date. And if you don't keep food longer than the expiration date, why do you allow people to be in your life past the expiration? If a person is not adding to your life, that means they're taken away. And I'm going to use you and I for an example, Silvadia. You and I are building a new sisterhood. I don't say relationship. I'm going to call us a sisterhood. But if I ever get to the point in our relationship that I become toxic and I'm pulling more from you than I'm imparting into you, you have to make a decision that regardless of how much you love me, I'm no good for you. And you have to be willing to make that decision to say, this person is no longer productive in my life. Yes, I love them, but they're not productive. And what it boils down to is you have to love yourself enough to let go when someone is in your life and they're no longer productive. If it becomes toxic, you have to be willing to say, you know what? Enough is enough. This relationship has expired. And at that point, you have to be willing to do the same thing with that relationship that you do with food. You throw it away. But what happens is sometimes because we love those people, we feel like we can make them change. And we hold on to them a lot longer than what we should. And when that happens, what we do is we start to deteriorate within ourselves because sometimes we lose who we are. We have adapted them so much that we become a part of them and we lose sight of who we are. And we feel like we need that person in our lives when in actuality, that person is draining you of life. And you have to love yourself enough to say, you know what? This relationship has expired and I'm letting go. But we don't always do that. Because what we try to do is, and I'm going to use the analogy of a tree. You have a leaf, you have a branch, and you have a root. Sometimes we take leaves and we try to make them roots in our lives. And you can't do that because new leaves form every year. and they fall off. Some people are not meant to be in your life long term. They come in for a season and then they're gone. But we try to make leaves and branches roots, and everybody is not meant to be a root in your life.
My God. My God. My
Wow.
Miss Lee done came out the woodwork.
Yes.
Baby. So, ladies, what do you think about what Miss Lee just spoke on? What do you think, Andrea?
Wow.
I agree. I mean, there's nothing, no rebuttal from me, but definitely trauma bond. That thinking we can fix people, all of that has mushed or molded together. So I'm definitely with what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Bessie, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with her 100% because I know for myself, I am a helper by nature and I just want to help everybody. And but over the time and over the years, I realized that that person has to want to help themselves first. And I have to step back. But I will help for a little while. But once I realize that that person is just basically trying to use me, I'm done. Because my conscience, I need my conscience clear. Once my conscience is clear, I've tried to help that person the best I can, and I realize it's just a one-way relationship. I'm done. But I am definitely a helper by nature, and it is now that I'm getting older and wiser, is mentally draining. And I need peace at my age. I'm 51. I'm not that old, but I'm just at my age. I want peace,
Yeah. I
peace in my life, peace in my household, and I mean, even your kids can become toxic to you. So you got to like what I love you, but I'm gonna love you from a distance.
That part.
Yeah, I totally agree
Hmm.
with you. I think, do you think that we hold on to people so long in our life, even if they toxic, because we're afraid to be alone?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
absolutely agree with that. And that goes back to what I said. You have to love yourself enough.
absolutely.
You have to love yourself. And when you hold on to toxic people, what you need to do is you need to examine yourself.
Hmm.
You need to find out what is that core down on the inside of you. You got to get to the root cause of your problem. And once you get to the root cause of your problem and you start to fix things within yourself, you realize that some people are not worth your peace.
Yeah,
And see, that's one thing that I'm not going to do. I'm not compromising my peace for nobody.
absolutely.
I'm not doing it. I'm not compromising my peace because I know my value, I know my worth, and I know what I bring to the table. No one can question what Tiny brings to the table. But what
Absolutely.
I will
Absolutely.
tell you is I'm only going to do so much because I'm not compromising my peace
Mm.
at no cost. When it gets to the point where that relationship is causing me to not have peaceful days and peaceful nights, it's time for me to hit the delete button and exit you up out of my life. And I have no problem doing that because I recognize my value. I recognize
hold
what.
on, Tiny, hold on for a second. Somebody mute their background whenever somebody's speaking. Just mute your background until you get ready to speak.
How
Go ahead, Tiny.
So, because I know my value and I know my worth, if you're not adding to me, that means you're taking away. And you can only pour into people for so long because if you pour too much, you're empty. Who's going to refill you? There's nobody to fill you up when you've poured out into an empty cup or a cup that has a hole in it. Like I love to drink milk and I value the milk that I buy because it's expensive. But I'm not going to pour my milk into a cup that has a hole in it. I'm not doing that. And that's what we do with people. We pour into people that are filled with holes because they're not 100%. They got issues going on. Maybe it's some self-hurt. Maybe it's they were hurt by a family member and they bring that baggage into every relationship that they come into. And they have a sense of entitlement. And they have no problems draining you
Mm.
because all they want to do is suck up and receive and receive and receive, and they have absolutely nothing to give. And that applies to relationships, that applies to marriages. You know, Savannah, you and I talk, I'm very transparent. And in my previous marriage to my ex-husband, it didn't matter how good of a wife that I was. He had an issue with cheating. And because he had an issue with cheating, I went through a point in time where I was questioning me. Like, what is it about me that's causing him to cheat? Then I had to realize my worth, it ain't nothing about you. He's jacked up. But sometimes we blame ourselves when we're in bad relationships and we question us instead of recognizing and realizing that we're with a person who is just unlovable, they're unfulfilled, and no matter what you do, you cannot fill the void in the mess of their life. You can't do it.
So, what do you ladies think about what Miss Tiny just said? The statement that she just made.
Miss Tiny, you're speaking and you're speaking loud and clear. And I hope that a lot of people, not just women, are listening to exactly what you're saying, because your piece is really important. And as far as what you said about being lonely, I went through that process. You know, I was married for 20, 22, 23 years, and afraid of being alone. But my God is good. I am okay with being alone. I am learning to love myself. Look, let me say this right here. My hair is my testimony, because I have become a bold person, and I am okay with being alone and learning to love myself, because a lot of people don't want to hear. I think that's the hard part of, you say you have to examine yourself. Yeah, we do. We have to examine ourselves. And a lot of stuff in our life comes from our childhood. It starts in our childhood, and we have to figure out what went wrong in our childhood. And I mean, everybody don't have bad childhoods, but it's something that maybe happened years and years, years ago that you have to dig deep to figure out what happened. But being alone is hard, but it's okay. It's okay to be alone.
And I think for me, what I heard in my childhood is in the marriages of my mom and my dad.
Right.
And they used to throw it around so loosely till death do us part. The devil is a lie. And it's not till death do us part. And people always want to throw in God honors marriages. But if your spouse or your significant other is not treating you as Christ loved the church, then how you gonna throw God in a situation that he ain't a part of?
Mm.
And people are so quick to throw scriptures around like it's a cliche, but it's not. If you're not treating me as Christ loved the church and you don't even have faith in the God that I serve, then how does what we're going through apply to the word of God?
Mm.
It doesn't. And we hold on to, like I held on to some bad relationships because of some things that I heard my mother say, but it was wrong. But I had to recognize that I can't live my life the way my mother did because she was in a different time than what I'm in now. And back then, people didn't always have the relationship with the word of God. They didn't follow 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved. They heard the word when they went to church and they believed what the preacher was telling them. So they grew up with that mentality and they stayed with men that they should have left a long time ago.
So, Andrea, please, sweetheart, I know we some talkers.
I'm listening.
Jump in when you want to. But
Will do.
so Tiny, Miss Betsy, Andrea, what do you say to that woman or that man that is staying in the relationship thinking that one day that person is going to change?
I'm that person. To be honest with you, I have been that person, um, and it's hard to tell a person that's in a situation to get out when they don't know how the perception on the outside looks. If that makes any sense, I am. it's hard to get out, especially in this economy now. So a lot of people are staying because it's roommates. You
Mm.
don't have the money to be able to um, take care of yourself, or be independent in this type of economy. On top of that, you have just being scared to leave if you're in a domestic dispute or any type of domestic anything in a relationship as well. And when it comes to my situation, I didn't leave because I didn't have the money to. But then because he controlled everything, I didn't have anything. So once I finally was able to take care of myself, I was able to leave. So I mean, it's a different situation for everybody, and it's really hard to tell somebody in that situation to leave. And I can understand, pouring your milk into a cup full of holes, but you're not perfect either. So it's like, I'm a cup filled with holes, and you're a cup filled with holes, and we can make each other better. And so you kind of have that give and take type of mind frame too, especially if you've been in relationships that have never given you anything, a substance, if that makes any sense. So you're continuously thinking you deserve what you're getting because you never had more, if that also makes sense, in my opinion.
It makes perfect sense. But one thing I can say to that, when you're dealing with people, two halves don't make a whole.
Mm.
When you're dealing with people, if you are a cup that has holes in it and you're with a person that's a cup that has holes in it, what you need to do is find out what the root cause of the holes. And what
Mm.
you have to do is you have to begin to fix yourself from the inside out. And that takes knowing what the root cause of your issue is. It could be something that dates back to childhood. It could be something that you experienced in your adulthood. It could be that you look in the mirror and you don't love yourself. So when
Mm.
you don't love yourself, you don't know what love looks like. So you don't know what to expect or what should be reciprocated back to you. So what you do is you cling on to whatever you can get at any cost, which is detrimental to your mental state. It's detrimental to your life. But what we have to do is, because I can't sit here and act like I've had it all together. And the only reason I can say the things that I'm saying is because of the things that I've gone through. I've been that broken person trying to make somebody love me. But you can't make somebody love you. Either they do or they don't. And what that taught me is I'm no longer one who accepts lip service. You can't just tell me. You got to show me. Because I've been in a relationship where a man told me, or a friend, a girl, somebody that I'm trying to grow close to, said one thing with their mouth, but their actions was far from what they said. But I had to get to the point where I evaluated me. It had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with me evaluating me. And once I evaluated myself and I dealt with that woman in the mirror who was looking back at me, then I had accountability for my
Mm-hmm.
actions and I began to fix me. And once I began to work on me, then my expectations began to line up with who I am, not who I think I am. Looking in the mirror, not seeing my beauty. So I'm settling because I don't have that much value in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So once I began to fix me and I knew my worth, you can't come at me any kind of way. You just
Yeah.
can't do it. It's
That's how it is for me. The last guy that I dated, as much as I liked him, as much as I loved him, as much as if you're looking from the outside looking in, it'll be more like, oh my God, somebody, you got everything a woman ever asked for. No, no, no. When you value yourself, and you have goals and ambitions of what you want in a marriage and a relationship, a man or a woman can buy you the world. But if they ain't giving you what you've prayed for, they ain't giving you what you truly want in your life, it's not going to work. And all I ask for is a commitment with Him and God for us to be joined together, to love me, respect me, be loyal to me, companionship, you name it. Everything I asked for was free. All in everything I want from a man requires change behavior. So did it hurt? Of course it hurted. But I love myself so much more than the pain where now I don't even think twice about being in a relationship with the guy that I used to date. I actually wish him nothing but the best. And I pray to God that he finds the woman that fits his point of view in his mind of what she looked like, how she act, and so on. Um, I feel like if I would have been, because I know to a T what type of woman he wanted, but had I formed myself into that woman that he wanted, I would not have been happy. And so that's not fair to me. That's another thing that and so my point that I wanted to make on that part was the title states is, why do people attract people who do not want to stay with them long term? Well, I felt like if he saw me in his future, he wouldn't have asked me to make these changes. Because to me, he's never reported back to me that any negative behavior outside. He did say at the beginning, he did say, I didn't know you was ghetto. Meaning meaning this right here though. He always seen the soft tone Saveda, the pretty ladylike Saveda. But when he crossed me was disrespect and it had to do with a woman. Now I don't know how y'all act, but with Saveda, if I ain't got nothing else, I'm gonna always be respectful to somebody else's relationship, especially mine. But for me, I just felt like that was the most disrespect. And so in my mind, it was right there in my face. So I couldn't control my emotions. So the things that was coming out of my mouth is embarrassing now. But at that moment, I meant every cuss word in the book at that moment. And my attitude was so nasty, it took me back to the days before I was delivered because I already throw them bowls. I already tear the whole house up. Do you hear me? But at the same time, I prayed about it and I took a look back at myself and I said, "What are you doing, Saveda? Let him go. Don't keep him past his expiration date." And me and him are cool to this day. But I love whenever you love yourself way more than a relationship, you can make those moves. And Andrea, you said something because you didn't have the income at the time when you was in that relationship. Let me tell you something. I don't know where I would have got it from, but my peace is so important where that wouldn't even matter. And I have 3 children. They're grown now, but for me, having my children at such an early age and been out of my mom's house since I was 14 years old. So I've been grinding from an early age. When it comes to women stating that they couldn't make a move because they didn't have the income, I understand what you're saying, and then I don't understand because I can't stay in an abusive situation, meaning physical, mentally, emotionally, financially, all the above. Is not healthy. And then you end up getting sick yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically. Once all that depression sets on your mind and your soul, then you start getting physically sick. Where you in I have been in the hospital for anxiety. I have been in the hospital where and it had nothing to do with a man, it had to do with a child of mine that would take my middle child that was taking me through the utmost. When I thought I was having a heart attack, it was a stress attack. And at that moment, and again, that's that we hold on to people long term when we don't need to. That doctor told me that day, she said, if you don't let your child go, because my child was an adult at the time, I think he was in his late 20s at that time, you're going to kill yourself. When I tell you, I took that doctor advice. Now I had a plan because that's my baby, and I wasn't gonna let my child be out there in the streets. So I set myself up, and I set my child up. That way, my child won't be on the streets. Because at the end of the day, you grown, you do what you want to do. But what you weren't gonna keep doing is another year under my roof, driving me crazy, and that's what my child was doing. So the minute I let my baby go and let God have my child, let me tell you something. I can identify negativity and pressure a mile away. And so now, even in a relationship, when I have that feeling of stress behind the person that's supposed to love me, baby, I let go so fast. I let go so fast too. It's peace to even be by myself. I've never been married. Do I want to get married? Without a shadow of a doubt. I want a king in my life, but I don't want the stress to come with it. Anybody that tell you that you got to go through a struggle to get what you want in a relationship, that's a lie. Love should not come with pain at all. It shouldn't. But I can tell you this: I'd rather have trust any day than love, and I'm gonna tell you why. Floyd Mayweather said this, and it makes so much sense. He said, he said the reason why he would like to have trust in a person before love, because we love our children, our pastors. We love a lot of people. But if you left your house and Uncle so and so that steals is come at your house, where you going? You're gonna make a U-turn and you're gonna go back because you don't trust him. You love him, but you don't trust him. And I felt every bit of that because at the end of the day, I love Tiny. Me and Tiny, we building a sisterhood, but I love her because what she stands for. I love her. Because, man, y'all understand this woman right here when she speak her mind. When I tell you she's a minister, but the way she ministered to me, it made me love her even more because she can speak on her flaws, she can speak on her struggles in life, and I can relate to that. Not because it's a negative in her life, but because she can teach me how to come out of that. Now, maybe some of the stuff that I have not went through, but in case that comes through my path in my future, I can reflect back on what Tiny has taught me along the way of knowing her. But I can't talk to somebody, man or woman, who pretend they are perfect. I told Tanya this earlier today. If you can't understand my struggle, how can you understand my pain? Meaning this right here. If I'm giving you my testimony, how can you embrace me with that if you don't understand what pain is? Like if you sit up there, if you're like, oh, I ain't never had no trauma or no drama in my life at all. Are you lying to me? Or are you the perfect person? So, Miss Bessie, go ahead and speak. Tell me a little bit about yourself or some things that you've came across with friends and family, whatever the case may be.
Well, I want to speak on as the other question you asked, as what would I tell a woman that want to leave?
Mm-hmm.
I am currently reading this book right here. It's called Sis Don't Settle. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's called Sis Don't Settle. This book, I tell you, has brought me life, has given me life.
Mm.
Now, this book, man, she was on Dear Future Wifey podcast. I love that podcast. So, and as far as leaving, it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and it's something that's not going to happen overnight. But reading books like this, listen to motivational podcasts, and affirmations are amazing. I do my affirmations every morning because when that devil comes, you need to be ready because he's gonna come. And when he comes, because see, I remember about a couple of months ago, this guy, he actually called me a loser, and I for a second I was like, And then I said, wait a minute, my affirmations kicked in. That means, that's the devil saying, look, he called you a loser and you're a loser. And I was like, wait a minute. My affirmations kicked in. And like, no, ma'am, no, you're not. You're not a loser. He's the loser because he's losing out on me. So the affirmation helped. But over time, woman that want to leave, and I would definitely pray about it. That it does take time, because we on God's time, not our time. And I love the scripture. It says, "You have not because you ask not."
Mm,
You
mm.
have to ask. God is our Father. You ask your Father. You ask everybody else for everything else. So ask Him, and He will definitely do that for you. I am a living witness. And for example, I might be like I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was. I was getting discombobulated with the traffic. I was like, where in the world am I at? Because I was talking to her, but then I got off the phone. I said, okay, Jesus, please help me. Can you please help me find where I'm going? Because I don't know where I'm going. And sure enough, he's like, okay, I got you. All you had to do was ask. And he helped me. Just something simple like that. But he will help you if you just ask. And
So,
he will
Miss
us.
Betsy, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to the woman who's prayed her kneecaps off about relationships, a husband, the whole 9 yards? What do you say to her when she keep hitting a brick wall?
Well, I wouldn't say she's hitting a brick wall. I say that God says that He's gonna do stuff for you, but it's coming. We just have to wait for it. Because I am that woman. I've been single since 2019.
Mhm.
Literally single, not no boyfriends. And I know people like, you haven't had? No, I haven't had a boyfriend. and at first I was like, God, really? Are you serious? But then He showed me things, and I was like, oh, this is why. This is why, because I thought I was ready, but apparently I was not. So it's called time and it's called patience. So what happens was when I was thought I was ready, He would show me things to show me that I'm not ready. And so then I said, you know what? Okay, it's God time. It's God time, because see, I don't want to get in a relationship and then it falls apart. The next husband I get is going to be the one, and
Okay,
I'm
so you brought up two key things that made me think of this. You brought up one, dear future wife, as we discussed earlier on the phone, that you follow that podcast. I follow the
right.
podcast, and I don't know if you ladies have heard of it, but it's a great podcast, dear future wifey. Latarius is the host name. But a few things that you touched on is why I'm bringing this up. You brought up the podcast, a dear future wife, as well as basically you speaking about God and basically relationships. So I don't know if you saw the latest. Did you see yesterday's podcast?
Oh
Terry?
my gosh, yes I did.
So
Yes I did.
so I want your input, and ladies, Andrea as well as Miss Tiny, I want your input on this right here. And I know you guys have not watched it yet, but basically what happened was this gentleman named Latarius is the host of this podcast called Dear Future Wifey. And he's been very transparent about how he prayed to God about his wife, his future wife, and how she aligned with his purpose, the whole 9 yards, everything you can possibly think of. But he always spoke positivity into existence. It was God, all the God, everything. Miss Bessie can contest to that, how positive he is. But yesterday's show was revealed that the young lady that he gave his heart to in 2 months basically broke it off with him and said that he was too good for her. Too
Right.
good. Like he's perfect in every area, but he's just too good for her. So my question is, Miss Betsy and ladies, what do that say about the viewer who's prayed the same prayers that Latarius prayed, but then that man or that woman just watched Latarius break down because he lost the woman that he stated that God spoke to him about. What do you say to that?
I say that first of all, that podcast was truly amazing, and secondly, is the fact that he has a testimony. I feel as though God is building his testimony for him. And he's also building the fact that this man, I appreciate that podcast. I appreciated her. At first I didn't. First I didn't. I didn't like her at first, but but then she was strong enough to figure out and say, you know what, this man. She knew she had some deep dark secrets, whatever, and she felt like, you know what, I'm gonna end up hurting you, and I can respect that. And I appreciate it. I know he might be hurting, but as Steve Harvey always say, the breakup is the blessing.
Yeah. I have
So
to say
I,
off the bat, I did it wasn't a feel sorry for him because I'm gonna be the devil's advocate right
right,
now.
right.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I just the way he say he loved her, I just felt like was that the right route to go so soon? Like
Absolutely.
I felt like y'all haven't even used the bathrooms together. You know what I'm saying? How in 2 months? I mean, if I just 2 months. I just thought it was just too many feelings was just moving too fast. Is what I thought.
Well, he also said he's going to move fast. He said he's going to move
I
fast.
understand that, but he was, as you saw the podcast, he was devastated.
Right, right.
So I'm just wondering, and from my understanding, the feeling was mutual between him and his girlfriend,
Mm-mm.
his ex-girlfriend. But I'm just wondering, I understand when you say purpose partner, but I don't think they meant abracadabra.
Well, with that happening to him, I think he realizes that now. Because I think that had to happen to him to open his eyes to say, slow down. Because
Woo!
he said he was going to want to get married in 6 months. And that's
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what he was
all.
going for. And
Yeah.
see, and now God is saying, I'm gonna show you, no, you slow down. Because you, like you say, you haven't even seen me sick. My old folks say, I need to see you in all them seasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because he was moving way too fast. But I don't think he will do that anymore because that was an eye opener, for him.
Yeah, I always say if it's meant to be, why rush? If it's meant to be, why rush?
Yeah,
Because you can
right,
definitely
right.
date and get to know a person, and if they meant to be, they're not going nowhere. So why rush?
Yeah.
Um,
I think he realized that he needs to slow down.
but I want to say I commend the young lady though, because
I do. I
I
commend her now.
commend
Yeah, I
her
do.
because 2 months she was able to give him her honest opinion about the relationship. And
Right.
the other, and I laughed at my best friend because I told my best friend, and this is a joke, guys. I told my best friend, I said, has she been? Because if you Google her, because me and the best friend knew who the girlfriend is.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
when we Googled her, she's worth $23 million. So I said, and this is a joke. I'm not,
Okay.
crapping on Terry's, but I'm just saying, if she was 23 million short, not short, that'd have been a whole nother segment there. But you have to realize when you move differently with women who can support themselves, who don't need your income coming in. You have to move differently with women who are independent, meaning we as independent women, I'm not $23 million, but I'm independent. But what I'm saying is independent women, as Adrielle was saying, she didn't have the income to move around. Most independent women, you mistreat them, we moving. We do.
Yeah.
We do. So I was telling my best friend, I said, had she been $23 million short, this would have been a segment of we're getting married in 6 months. But instead, because is she can depend on self and not need him in that area, it was nothing for her to, in her mind, and I don't know her like that, but in her mind to say, hey, this is not the one for me. Now you get a Susie Q over here who ain't got 23 million. She gonna all the flaws that she saw over the holiday, she gonna hide them flaws. She ain't going nowhere. But it is what it is.
But it could be twofold
Okay.
because it could be one or two things. He lied on God.
Mm.
God didn't tell him that.
Ooh.
He got
Do that to me,
embarrassed
right?
when it
My
didn't work
God.
out because I've done that. My ex-husband. Oh, I'm God this and God that. God won't nowhere in it. And I found out the hard way that God didn't have nothing to do with it. I wanted it. And
Right.
sometimes we get so caught up in God that we want to put him in things that he don't have nothing to do with.
Mm.
Another thing, she could be who God said she's meant to be with. But it's in his timing and not our time. We have to be willing to wait it out. It's a
Right. Yep.
process. And you can't say, I'm going to be married in 6 months. And God said, I need you to date her for 2 years.
Mm.
Because there are
Mm.
things that you learn about each other. You learn how to cope. You learn how to deal. You learn how to accept those things about each other. 6 months is not enough time for you to see
Mm-mm.
everything about a person. It's just not enough time. So it can either be one or two things. He lied and God didn't tell him that.
Mm.
Or God said, slow down. And he said, speed up.
Beat up.
Either way
Mm-hmm.
you go, God's timing controls everything. And what we have to realize is God's timing is not governed by clocks and calendars.
Mm.
Mm. Facts.
It's
Mm.
governed by revelation and truth. So we can't put God on our timeline because it's God's plan, God's way. But sometimes we try to put God on our timeline instead of us walking and living according to God's timeline, and it shows up whenever the situation don't work out the way we said God said it was going to work out. That's how you know was God really in it. And then
Mm.
two, you think about it, she realized in those 2 months whether she had money or not. Maybe she just has enough self-worth and love herself enough to say there are some things about him that at this moment, at this time, is not for me. And that's what some women are not willing to do. Some men are not willing to do. Be in that relationship, see the red flags, and walk away. No, we
Mm.
ignore the warning signs. And before we know it, we're looking up and we're like, this person did not come with a warning label. Yes, they did. You ignored it. You ignored the warning label.
Yeah. I remember I had a buddy of mine that was on his podcast, and behind the scenes he was explaining to him that you're gonna miss your blessing. He was trying to get my buddy to, like, why you ain't snatching this woman on up? Do you feel like, you know God sent her basically? And like my friend said, he said, oh, she bad, she bad. But at the same time, the terrorist was trying to see, I guess, trying to get my friend to see the way he see it. And I kept telling my friend, I said, pump your brakes, dude. Date, data collection, and I be darned if it ain't a few weeks later, this man is talking about a breakup. And I hate this happened to him, but I stand by what I say. Data collection, as Tiny said, can be 2 years. You know what I'm saying? It just depends, because I don't think nobody lets you know their true identity in 2 months. I don't care how good the JJ is. I don't care how many gifts that person given you. I don't care how beautiful they are or handsome they are. 2 months is not enough time to know if they are the one. It may feel like it is, but it's not. And that's my opinion. Somebody else may think different. Rod, what you think about that? Rod, you're married. How long have you been married?
First of all, I'm not married yet. I'm going on my second ring.
Okay.
I'm surprised God did that for me. How bad I was in my first one. Let me say that. But I think like I was listening to y'all while I was driving, coming from work. Um, like I think it was Drea was saying financially, like we like that, a woman that depends on us like that. You know what I mean? We use that to our for our advantage. You know what I mean? I got the upper leg on you. You know what I mean? A lot of, especially my I'm 30 years old. A lot of men use that. We don't want, it's too many. It's either you're gonna find somebody like that, or you're gonna have to find this new age alpha woman. You know what I mean? The alpha woman who wants to be the man and don't want the man to be a man. So it's, you know what I mean. It's two between. It's hard. You know what I mean. So I understand what she meant by that, but it's a lot of things that, you know, you got to deal with in this dating market. You know what I mean. The thing that got me wanting to marry my fiance, you know what I mean? We about to get married in this May coming up. So I understand she loved me in a way I never got loved before. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
It does.
I needed a woman to be stern with me. It was not going to take none of my, you know what I mean? Excuse me. And that's what she brought to me. You know what I mean? She brought other qualities. You know what I mean? She comes from a long line of women who know how to be wives. You know what I mean? We try to marry Buki around the street. You know what I mean? Think we can convert her to be a great wife. You know what I mean? But she's still dealing with the trauma of her dad being locked up, her dad not put enough worth in her. You know what I mean? It starts with the father with a daughter. You know what I mean? So till you get that together, till she get that rid of the daddy issues, like we brothers, we have struggles too with father, mom, all kind of issues. To clean that up, you can't really be in a successful relationship.
Well, you said that she loved you the way you've never been loved before.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Two, I got, you know what I mean. I got with her like I was in my late 20s, right? I'm 30 now. I only saw a woman for them jeans. Well, I'm just gonna be real for you. I see her and, you know what I mean, that smile, I start smiling. It could be the simplest stuff. We just sit in the bed sometimes, just talk. That's weird for me, coming from where I was. You understand what I mean? We can go sit in the car, listen to music. She's really my best friend. You know what I mean? Till you get to that level, I don't think nobody should, you know what I mean, even say you're in love till you get to that level. It all starts from a friendship first.
Right.
So did you feel that previously relationships you had to pretend to be somebody that you were not?
Oh, of course. I was playing I had to be Denzel. I had to be the supporting cast. We all put masks on for relationships and try to force it. And that's the worst thing you do. I even talked to God. I was talking to God. Oh man, make this work, make this work. And God was telling me, Sherrod, your gas is on E. I shouldn't have to tell you. I shouldn't have to tell you got to put $25 in that tank to make that car move. You know what I mean? But we get so naive, and God is already showing us the signs you got to leave. If He put a boat right in front of you, and you don't jump in the boat, and you see a flood coming, that's you.
So what was it about you? This is your second marriage, correct?
Yeah.
What was it about her that said that, okay, she's worthy of my last name?
Again, she matters. You know what I mean? She don't need me to do nothing. She about her hustle, and I love that about her. You know what I mean?
So
She got goals. I never met a woman got goals like her. Okay. You know what I
Ah.
mean? She does not. It's her saying. That's what I love about her. She tells me, "Oh, Sherrod, if I can't buy something twice, I don't need it.
Mm.
If I can't buy it twice, I don't need it." You know how many times I had to ask somebody, "Oh man, did you pay the bills?" And the bill money didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Like if I can't, like you said, it's all about trust. If I can't trust you with the bill money, what can I trust you with?
Right.
So, far as bringing the value in your life, what does she bring to you to make you a better man?
She brings me peace. Peace. You know what I mean? You know, I'm traveling the world. We went to DR and stuff like that. I didn't see past my block. I didn't see past Tennessee. I didn't see past nowhere till I got with her, and she opened my mind because I had a toxic mind. I was real control of. I was, you know what I mean? I was speaking death with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Till I start noticing I'm speaking death to my, you know what I mean, about myself. You know what I mean? Sorry, you shouldn't say that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't say that. But you so used to being toxic and depressed and you know what I mean, saying you're not really supposed to be saying, you don't know it's something about you.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
she brought you out of a dark spot in your life that no one previously could bring you out of.
no.
Okay. All right. I have one more question for everybody tonight. We are quick to jump in relationships, right? How important is it for you to heal and know yourself before you try to bring someone else into that relationship
Oh,
with
that's
you?
very important.
Oh,
That's
wow.
very
Yeah.
important. Because, like I told you before, with my ex husband, I was divorcing him and already in a relationship with my current husband. I had no in between time to heal. And I dealt with some of the same things in both marriages. Now, there's a difference in the one that I'm in with my current husband versus the one with my ex husband, but I still had some of the same challenges in both relationships. But I didn't give myself time to heal. So much so, when the stress of my current marriage overwhelmed me, I wanted to take my own life
Mm.
because I was so overwhelmed. I was so stressed out, leaving a bad marriage and then in a relationship that's not too much better than what I left. So it's very important to take time and heal because if you don't heal from the one who cut you, you'll bleed all over people who didn't hurt you.
Mm.
So you have to take time to heal because if not, you're taking baggage into that next relationship. And first of all, you got to understand yourself. And once you self identify with you and you're good, you're okay, you know how to love yourself, you can love other people, you're no longer bound by the things that hurt you, you've grown from it, you've healed from it, then you can move forward into another relationship without all that baggage that you had from your past relationships. So you have to heal. I think that's key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about Miss Rhea?
I did not heal before I got into my marriage, so I can't I can't say that it can't happen, but it's work in your marriage if you're coming from a broken place to another. Um, you have to be willing to truly want to fight with that person every day of your marriage if you really want to make it out together on top. And that is what I'm going through with my husband. And I feel like we have situations that have made me say, I'm going to leave you today and I'm going to leave you every day. But then there's situations that we sit down and we calm down and we we calm down and we talk about the things that are rocking our foundation. So when it comes to the healing portion of it, I feel it's just person to person, in my opinion. It's about what you're willing to be self-reflective about, because me, I'm very self-aware. I know what I'm broken at. I know what I need to do. So if you're not in a situation where somebody that is self-reflective, it's going to be extremely hard. So I would say if you want to move on and you're broken, move on with somebody who's just as well as transparent as you, if and can take the accountability. Because if you don't have somebody that can take that accountability or that humility, then it's not going to work.
Miss Betsy?
Well, I can honestly say, thank God that I am in the process of taking time for myself. I've been divorced since 2021. And like I said, I've been single, well, separated since 2019, divorced in 2021. So been single since 2019. And it was hard at first, but it is very important to take time for yourself. Because that way, like I said, this book here is giving me life here. That book has taught me to find out what I want to do, what I like to do. Because it's like I didn't know what I like to do because I've always had someone there beside me, and I'm worried about what he wants to do. I'm not worried about what I want to do because I forget about me, and that's just who I am. And I'm in the process of working on that. I want to worry about making him happy. What does he like to do? So I'm in the process of learning what I want to do. I am going out to restaurants by myself to eat. This summer I'm gonna travel by myself, which is very different, but so it is very important because you don't want to bring that baggage in. And I want someone who's all has is in the process of doing the work or have already done their work as far as healing. I recently got me, I've got me a therapist. And, to be honest, I don't know if I need a therapist. I'm in the process of learning this. But maybe there's something down deep below that I'm not, worried about. And
Mm.
so hopefully this therapist can maybe, bring something out that I'm, not aware of. Because I'm all about learning. So I need to focus on me. And when I tell you it's beautiful, it is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Rod, what about you?
What you say again? What was the question again? What's the question again? I gotta ask you, what's the origin? What's the origin again?
Oh my Lord to Jesus. Well, these are our final words. So I'm just gonna ask you for your final words.
My final words about I think at the beginning though, everybody base relationships on emotions. That's where I think we most people mess up. Like being missed and that love words loosely. Till you have a commitment, ain't nothing's gonna work. Because sometimes you're not gonna love somebody. You know what I mean? It's just human nature. But that's the thing. You just gotta put the work in to make it if it's worth it.
Um, I think that two people should do what's best for them.
Hmm.
And I feel like I can take advice from someone, but when we give advice, we typically give it off of something that we've already been through or that we read about it, whatever the case may be. But it's up to us to tweet it to the point of it fitting what we have together. I can't take what Tiny does in her marriage or what Rod you do in your relationship and implement it into my relationship if I had one. Can I take your advice? Yes. But trying to do it exactly the way you guys do it up under your roof is not going to work because what's going to end up happening is things like this is going to come out. Well, so and so said to do it like this, or so and so don't do that at their house. We're comparing our relationship with somebody else's relationship. No different than I follow TD Jakes. I follow uh, what's it, Pastor Keon on TV. It's beautiful. Their family is beautiful. Their marriage is beautiful. But if I go back and look at the video that Sarah and TDG and Sarah and her mom did, the daughter and the wife of TD Jakes, they go through the same struggles that everybody on this panel went through. They spoke on it.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, you had people, well, TD Jakes do this, TD Jakes family, and Sarah this and Sarah that. Everybody has problems, but it takes somebody bold enough to speak on the problems in order to help somebody else. We have to learn how to speak up. We have to be transparent, and we have to state facts and truth. Don't Tiny said it best, and it's so funny that Tiny said this because if I have my best friend, we have got into some arguments behind this right here. When I have said, so you don't think they lying on God? You know what I'm saying? Because I will call somebody out. I told my best friend, I said, let me tell you something. I think a lot of people use God in front of whatever they're getting ready to say to make it sound good. And God ain't doing nothing to them whatsoever. So we have to stop doing that kind of stuff. Just because I'm quick to say, just because you said, well, I had a pastor to say, God spoke to me about you. And I said, okay. In my head, I was like, oh, here we go. I'm trying to figure out why is it that every time this particular pastor, this is in my past, had something to say to me, it was always God told me to tell you this. Why you can't just sit down and have a conversation with me one on one without you saying, because this is what it got in my head that you're lying. So when Tiny, and y'all, I didn't reveal this until now, Tiny is a minister. She's an elder as well. So for her to say that, and not saying, just because she's those two things that just make it even credible, but you have so many people in the church that act like they can't keep it 100. And this is why I respect her as the titles that she holds because she keeps it 100. Even if it makes her look bad, she tell you the truth. And that's why I can follow this woman. This is why I can follow her advice. I don't look when she tell me her stories, her secrets, I don't look at her less than at all. I have so much respect for her. And those are the type of women and men that I want in my life. Those are because it's positivity. It's people that if I need to break down and cry because I'm having some troubles in my life, I feel comfortable with them embracing me because they understand a struggle. But if you over here living with the Jeffersons, like you ain't never experienced nothing in your entire life, I can't vibe with you. I just cannot. And Tiny, I'm gonna let you have the final word, and we're gonna say good night to everybody.
Well, based off of what you just said, you have some people who feel like they have to portray a perfect life. But people can't grow and heal from situations if you standing up pretending like your life is perfect. You have to be transparent because it's in my transparency that somebody else might say if
Oh, she got cut off. Oh my God, Tiny. Tiny, cut your mic on.
oh shucks, I didn't say it and was muted. So what I was saying is some people in ministry portray a perfect life like they got it all together. People can't grow from that. People have to know that you've gone through some things and you overcame those things that you've gone through. So it's in my transparency that I let people know if God did it for me, he can do it for you. But if you don't know that I've gone through something because I'm sitting up here pretending like I live a perfect life, and I'm sitting here pretending like I've loved my husband throughout the duration of our marriage, when there was one time when I wanted to leave him, I got to let you know that because then I can tell you how I felt, but how I came over that, how I got
right.
I had to overcome that. But I can't sit up here and let you think that my marriage with me and my husband has been perfect. It has not. You know, I had to get back to the point where I trusted him through infidelity. And the only reason I did that is because God told me to stay. I didn't understand why God told me to stay until December 4th, when my husband preached his initial sermon. Had I left, he would have still been at that same old church where he was dying on the vine. But that experience, although it caused me pain, it was an experience that we went through. But through that experience, God had the opportunity to make him new. To where he didn't remain the same, he changed. Had he not changed, we wouldn't be together. But people see us doing the welcome and the greeting, and they look at us on Sunday mornings and they might think, oh my God, they have this perfect marriage. My husband send me flowers every week. And people at my job used to be, oh my God, you got this good man. He send you flowers every week. You know what I told him? I deserve those flowers with everything that he put me through. He should send me flowers every week because he put me through some crap.
Yeah.
But I have to be transparent. I'm not faking it for nobody. I'm not a hypocrite, but I will give you my truth because it's in my truth that someone else may be delivered.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm transparent. That's why I give my truth, because whenever I accepted the call into the ministry, that was one thing I promised God. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to be one of these people that's preaching a word that I don't live. So I'm the first partaker of the word that I preach. So when I preach that word, I'm not just preaching to people. I'm preaching to myself because I have to pray myself through situations. I can't act like just because I'm a minister, I got it all together. No, I don't. I fall short. And that's whenever I have to allow that word of God that's on the inside of me. I have to deposit that word so that when I'm going through, I have something that I can withdraw. But I go through and I rely on that word daily, just like everybody else does.
Yeah. Thank you for that word, Tanya. Thank you. Listen, Miss Bessie, I thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I
You're
definitely
welcome.
see you on the show more. You were definitely great tonight, and you look beautiful. I thought I would tell
Oh,
you
thank you.
service. And Rod, I appreciate you so much, guys. I was on Rod's show, and let me tell you something, Rod, I ain't cussed that much in a long time.
Oh, why you got to tell me? You know what I mean? You sit him right in front of a minister. You sit him right in front of a minister, man.
Let me tell you something about Tiny, baby.
No judgment zone.
None.
By
Baby,
no
let
means.
me tell you something. This woman here, y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. No judgment zone.
Be you unapologetically, because what my job is not to judge you. My
Absolutely.
job is to live my life as an example so that you would want to follow my examples. My job ain't to judge you because you curse. If you got a cursing tongue, curse. Be you. But I'm going to pray for you.
I have to say for me with the cursing, it was a personal decision because I was like, come on, Silvadia, you're too ladylike. That just don't go hand in hand. But every now and then it'll slip. But what I mean by stop cussing, I can cuss. I can make a sailor look like an angel. I can cuss.
You also got a song called "Said Try Jesus, Don't Try Me." You gotta tell them. Sometimes you gotta show people that.
Oh yeah, I tell people that.
Let me tell y'all something. Sunday we were in church, and I forgot what Tiny said to me, but we gave a hug, and I told her, cause she's so cool, and I love her so much. I told her, girl, so I almost said the wrong B word. But you know how girls talk be like B. I almost said it to her, but that's just how comfortable that I am with her. I didn't say it, but it's the fact that her heart is so open and it's so non-judgmental to the point that I can be myself around her because I know she's not judging me in a negative way. I know she gonna check me if I'm wrong, but when she check me, I know she love me and it's not out of jealousy. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell you my prayers, when everybody know my best friend is a male, but when I pray for a best friend to be a female as well, that's the description that I gave God. Is somebody that can always be like Tanya is with me. Like she said, we're building a sisterhood. But to the glory of God, I pray we are not only sister, but she can also become my best friend because there's nothing in this world like having someone that you can turn to and tell anything and it don't leave nobody mouth or ears but that person. It stays with the person. So I hope and pray that that's where me and her friendship is going to grow because the male best friend, the only way that friendship is going to end if God come down here and break us apart himself.
Well, I have a disclaimer. Now, I do have a disclaimer for our friendship. Now, the disclaimer is I'm not going to uphold you in your mess.
There you go.
If you want the truth, don't ask me. gonna tell you. And I
Amen.
expect the same thing in return. Don't uphold me in my mess. If I'm wrong, you better say, girl, you jacked up, you wrong. But that's the disclaimer. Don't call me thinking I'm gonna side with you. I want to know the whole story. Don't just give me your side.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know that's
Give
for
me all the
real. I know
details.
that's for real. I know that's for real. But thank you all for joining me tonight. And I definitely hope to see you guys on future shows. This was a great conversation. I definitely hope that we have reached somebody out there in the audience tonight. If anyone would like to be on the show, tell your story, tell your testimony, just relieve stress off your chest, come on over. Hit me up in my email, my DM. Let me know that you want to be on the show and just join us. We just have great conversations, talk about life, lessons, and experiences without judging anyone. Until next time, I love you guys. See you guys next Thursday. Good night.
All right. Good night.
I feel
Good
like I'm
night.
gonna wait to exhale for a little bit. For a little bit.
Good night, guys, and thank
Good
you
night.
so much.
Good night.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.